Hello, everyone. Last week, we actually attended TiCon conference in Santa Clara, and we had a bunch of startup founders came in. It was a really great interaction, talking to startup founders on their challenges. And today, specifically, what I want to really focus on is advisory committee, advisory board. A lot of startup founders, especially in the pre-seed and the seed, they think that, hey, you know what, we are still small, we don't really need an oversight. And then they start executing, and then they go through a couple of years without realizing, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have the advisory board? And now, once you go through, when there is a happy story, of course, we don't talk about it. But then I think, all the examples that we definitely heard was lack of the advisory board actually made startups die and sometimes even stagnate, or even brought in a lot of chaos in terms of how the product should be done, or how the fundraising strategy should be done and everything. So anyway, let's take a step back. It doesn't really matter if somebody is in the pre-seed stage or a seed stage. I definitely recommend everyone having a advisory board. And think of the advisory board as, for the simplicity, it is a strategic advisory board, operational advisory board. And in the strategic angle, I would really think of it as somebody pretty senior who's been there, done that, and who has the knowledge about the domain, the market, the opportunity. They can actually look at your deck, your opportunity, and then they can say in a fairly confident way, yes, this works or this doesn't work, or the direction. On a much more operational advisory, think of it really as, do you have the people who can guide you on the product strategy side, the people who can guide you on the technology strategy side? And the same thing is with the sales, marketing. Again, you may not need everybody the day one, that is very clear, but you need to be, as a founder, be very clear on the skills that you have and the advisory board that you need to build to complement your skills. And it is very common that a lot of founders think, oh, you know what, I know everything. I've built my company before, or I have a MBA degree or whatever that is, but unfortunately that doesn't really work out. There are two specific examples that I still remember coming back from that conference. Number one, there is a founder who took a $500,000 worth of investment, $20,000 per month burn with a 24-month run. That was the kind of assumption. They took the money, and then lo and behold, within 8 months, the entire 500K is gone. And then they realized that with no significant revenue generation that has been done. And now the employees are struggling, the founders are struggling. Of course, the money went somewhere, clearly, in some of the trips that they had, the offsite events, and the new laptops that they got, and the salary hikes that the team had, and all that good stuff. Again, should that not be done? Maybe, but the idea is, let's say if there is a advisory board, take that in front of the advisory board as to say, hey, you know what? This is the money that we got. We are planning to spend this on these 4-5 items in the coming months. Does this make sense, right? Even if it is one person responsible, have a compensation board so that when you are increasing salary for somebody or bringing in a new person, what are the things that you want to consider before you actually make the offer or really draw that money from the bank. So that's the first thing that we discussed a lot. The second example was really about multi-product strategy. I think this is something that I've seen very common, where the founders really go crazy on the shiny penny syndrome, which is to say every 3 months, every 6 months, there is a new buzzword that comes out there, and then you just go one after the other without actually finishing one complete product that you started, which basically means at the end of it, this particular company had 8 products that are still not completely baked, by the way. and there is no clear winner on which product is bringing in the revenue. And unfortunately, they had to close down, and the founders are doing a new iteration now. So the reason why I'm talking about these two examples is there are multiple ways why a startup fails, but please don't let the lack of advisory board be one of them, because it is super easy. There are a lot of experts that are out there who are willing to help and who wants to be on the advisory boards and then really serve the startups and the founders. So make use of the network, a network of networks that you have. And lastly, when you have an advisory board, the outcome is immense. I mean, you're really using your advisory board as a sounding board, whether it is about the product, technology, sales, marketing, bringing in new people, or investment introductions that you may need, or even the business development introductions that you may have. All these things are super important, and you don't need to do it alone, right? That's why you bring in the advisory board on your side. So with that, I would conclude this by saying, if you are a founder or a business owner who is struggling alone, I mean, even if you have one or multiple co-founders, doesn't really matter. Please do bring in the right advisory board for you and take help. I think that's going to be super important, especially in 2023, where a lot of things are coming together in terms of the longer sales cycles, and then people are not easily spending the money on the tools and the software. So this is the time that you definitely need to be creative and need to be thinking about different strategies that you have. And happy to have any questions answered offline. Thank you.